today we have Tori. She's a permanent makeup artist, business owner, and educator.
What made you want to specialize in microblading or permanent makeup?
When I got out of high school, my grandma was like, you should do permanent makeup. And I was like, Grandma, you're crazy.
So what's like the biggest trend that you're seeing right now?
I would probably say nanobrows is on the rise right now.
What made you want to become an educator?
When I started in the industry, things were so different. Like the industry's come such a long way since when I started.
Yes.
Where I'm like,
do you have like a memorable moment?
I definitely probably have more than one.
Let's welcome Adia.
I was a hairstylist and makeup artist for many, many years, and also a portrait artist.
Yeah.
So I've always been obsessed with beauty and helping women just feel amazing about themselves.
Do you find yourself turning down clients?
Absolutely.
Have you had any like really weird requests?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You're listening to Not Just Lashes. Here are your hosts, Shannique and Dixie.
Hello and welcome to Not Just Lashes. I'm Dixie.
I'm Shannique.
And today we have Tori on. She's a permanent makeup artist, business owner, and educator.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so happy to have you here.
So
and
excited
this
to
is
be
like
here.
the moment I've been waiting for so long.
I know. We've known each other for so many years. It only makes sense that I would be here.
Yes. So we met at one of my classes.
Yes.
I was teaching plasma lift.
Yeah, the fibroblast skin tightening.
Fiberglass skin tightening. And we just connected. She's a boss lady. I'm a boss lady. And we just clicked as friends, as colleagues.
Instantly. And we've just stayed close ever since then. Yeah, it's been great.
So to start off, what made you want to specialize in microblading or permanent makeup?
So I never foresaw myself doing permanent makeup originally. So I was a professional makeup artist and I started doing that right out of high school. I was always like an artist and I kind of grew up in the beauty field. My mom worked for L'Oreal my whole life. So was always surrounded by the beauty industry. And I remember when I got out of high school, my grandma was like, you should do permanent makeup. And I was like, Grandma, you're crazy. Nobody does permanent makeup because you're imagining.
Knew.
I know. Well, and she had old permanent makeup, like old school tattooed brows, eyeliner, lip liner. So I was like, Grandma, no, people are not doing this. You're crazy. Grandma was not so crazy. And so a few years later, I remember when I started microblading, it was before people even really knew what microblading was. But I did have a girlfriend that was like, you are obsessed with eyebrows and you are amazing at makeup. I feel like you would be really good at this. And I was like, okay, I believe you. So I went and I looked into it and I found an academy that was close by to me. So I just jumped in, took a class, and I was obsessed with it. So I basically just like went full in, and that was like, this is my life plan now. I love this. I got to be artistic, got to connect with women, which is what I loved about makeup, make people feel beautiful.
Yes.
And once I started doing that, I just got so busy. And, I feel like that was like really where my passions laid.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's freaking
How long have
amazing.
you been doing it?
I've been doing it for almost 8 years now, which is crazy.
incredible.
And I've owned my studio for almost 7. So,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I remember when I first started, I was like, okay, I love this so much. I rented a tiny little room out of like a spa because I was like, okay, where do I even start with this?
Exactly.
And so I rented a tiny little room and I was by myself. And, I was used to working at like makeup counters where I'm like always around women and like you're just vibing off the energy and like, I don't know, you just have like community, right?
Yeah.
So when I was there, I was like, oh God, I cannot do this by myself forever. Like I need that community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, in a year, I'm going to open up my own studio. And I was like, I'm going to hold myself accountable and tell everybody I know that that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to manifest this.
Wow.
And I ended up opening up my studio on that year mark. So I'm like, which is pretty crazy.
I just love like when you manifest something and it just like comes to
100%. It's like one of the
life.
biggest things I tell new people. I'm like, you just got to keep telling yourself you're doing it and this is what you're doing until it happens.
Exactly. So for those who don't understand the permanent makeup world, like what does it consist of?
So permanent makeup is a form of tattooing. There is something called microblading, which I'm sure the majority of you have probably heard. It's a little bit more familiar now. And that is done with more of like a manual tool. So it's more like, if you're thinking in tattooing terms, maybe like hand tapping. It's not a machine, so you're making like little scratches in the skin, right? But then there's also all these other forms of cosmetic tattooing that are done with a machine, and that's primarily what I do now. I don't really do as much microblading, so we do a service called nanobrows.
I love nanobrows,
and that is pretty much what I specialize in.
And that's what Shannique got, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
so we'll put up pictures.
Yeah, and I can explain a little bit more about that. But so I do nanobrows, and then there's lip blushing, eyeliner, freckle tattooing, and then there's paramedical tattooing where there's like areolas.
Oh my gosh,
yes, and then like scar camouflage. Like there's really so many different things that I feel like people don't even really know about that are so amazing for so many different types of people.
Yes, and the areola is for
anybody who's had like breast cancer or top surgery, or even just like want a little more color to their areolas. Like really, it's good for so many different people, and just helping them really like build that confidence.
I love that. I really, that's freaking
And we
amazing.
do have a couple girls at my studio who specialize in that as well.
Oh.
So we really try to be like, have all the services you could possibly think of at our studio within that tattooing world.
Well,
That's
I
amazing.
think you guys accomplished that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It looks so realistic too. I've
It
seen
does.
photos.
It really
of, like,
does.
It's
It's
like
like 3D.
3D. Yeah. Like,
and you know, I've even seen recently there's somebody, I'm sure there's more than one person, but specifically I've seen somebody where she was tattooing belly buttons, like people who don't have belly buttons, or
like an innie versus an outie.
yeah, or like I don't know
Wait, are
exactly.
people born with
yes,
them?
I have a girl at my studio who doesn't have a belly button, and
Really?
she wants to get it tattooed. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to like send us videos.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
definitely. I will
wanna
show
see
you.
this.
Yeah, and it looks so
How
real.
do you not have a belly button?
I know. I think
Because
it's a
isn't that your
medical thing.
Yeah, the umbilical cord.
Yeah, I think what it is, it's like your insides are on your outsides when you're born, and they have to like put it together. Like, yeah, so then you just don't have a belly button. I'm sure there's a more medical term for that, but
Kyle XY.
yeah.
Do you remember that show?
Oh my god.
Superman, right? Like,
Yes.
born without a belly button. That's how you knew he was Superman.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh my gosh. So what's like the biggest trend that you're seeing right now?
I would probably say nanobrows is on the rise
Yes.
right now.
Still people don't.
And still people don't know what
Yeah.
it is. Like, I think a lot of times people still just see my photos and assume that it's microblading, because that's what the term that they're familiar with. But nanobrows is more of like a hyper realistic technique that's done with a machine instead of a blade. So it's a
Yes.
little more gentle on the skin. So they're not making any scratches to the skin. So you can imagine, like, when you're making a scratch to the skin, like there's only going to be a certain small amount of people that that's good for. Like if you have sensitive skin, thin skin, anything where you bleed really easy,
Yes.
you're probably not going to be a great candidate for microblading. But for nanobrows, it's amazing because it's good for all ages, all skin types, all skin sensitivities. I have clients in their 90s getting nanobrows. As before,
love
like
it.
it would have been more challenging to do a microblade on them because their skin's typically more thin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's amazing because now anybody who comes in, if they want a nanobrow, more than likely I can do it for them.
Yes,
So,
you can.
Absolutely.
I mean, even like my tone of skin.
Absolutely.
I was a little worried about
Yeah.
that because I heard, stuff about microblading.
Yeah.
So I was definitely a candidate for Nano.
Oh yeah,
and
and it healed beautiful on you too. Yeah, so
Yeah,
pretty.
and I remember watching it happen because I went to hold Shannique's hand during it. No, just kidding. It was painful.
emotional support.
It was emotional support because I was amazed at how not painful it was.
Oh yeah, that's like I have clients fall asleep all the time. So
Yeah.
that's another thing too. Like sometimes I'll have clients come in who have previously had microblading done, and I will note like not everybody can just get a cover up, unfortunately. But
Yes.
those who the previous work is light enough for me to work over, they'll even say like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much more comfortable." And even with
It
the
is.
microblading, like most people are numbed for it, and even with that, Nano's still more comfortable, which makes sense because we're not cutting the skin
Too
so
deep.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And, I'm no shade to microblading when it's done correctly, done on the right skin. It can be really beautiful. I just think Nano's kind of the direction that the permanent makeup industry is headed.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you still numb or
So you can still numb with it, but I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
or at least for the first pass. So most times, most nano brow artists won't pre-numb for it because it really feels like a tiny scratch. Like it doesn't feel like anything crazy. And then once the skin is open, we use a lidocaine that can go into like an open wound. And at that point, I have clients fall asleep all the time. It's pretty easy.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd say it's like maybe like 1% that's uncomfortable the first pass. And if that happens, like maybe I'll pre-numb them at their touch-up, but like it really doesn't happen very often.
I'm pretty sure it's like more anticipation than anything.
100%.
Just like
It's the nerves.
Dixie was holding my hand.
Yeah. And I feel like afterwards, most people are like, oh, I wish I would have done this sooner. You know, it's usually like it's my most nervous clients that always say that too.
Well, because it's new. You build it up in your head.
And I always say, you know what? It's a tattoo at the end of the day. Like I'm always like, wait until you're ready, do your research, really feel comfortable with the artist you're going to. And like, there's no pressure from me. I'm like, you come to me when you're ready. Like, I feel like it is a big decision. I never like to label cosmetic tattooing as semi-permanent. I know that sometimes people say that kind of as a selling point. I don't like to do that. It is a tattoo that will lighten, but we don't guarantee that it's going to 100% fade out of the skin.
Right.
So yeah, wait until you're ready. You find the right person and you feel really confident about them.
That makes me so happy. I just love that. Like you just wait until you're ready.
Totally.
Here's my number. You come and
I
see
think
me.
that's a big thing is just like realizing that it is a serious thing. And I think that's for new artists coming into the industry as well, is just taking it very seriously.
Yes.
That would be a big advice that I would give.
Well, Tori, what made you want to become an educator?
Well, you know, so I own a studio, and so I do have quite a few girls that work there. And I think just being in that environment, I've realized just like helping them here and there, being like, you know, maybe I'm really good at this.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, and
you truly are.
Yeah, and you know, I just love connecting with new people, and it's nice because when I started in the industry, things were so different. Like the industry's come such a long way since when I started.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I wish I had somebody like me when I started the industry where they could like really mentor you. So I was like, you know what? I think this would be a really good thing. Like I'm really passionate about making good results and making sure everyone is really educated, right?
Yes.
And so I was like, you know what? I think that there needs to be some change. And, you know, there are artists that already kind of do this as well that I think are great. But I think it's so important to do your research, even with educators.
Yes, 100%.
100%. And so with education, I was like, what can I do that's going to be like a little different, give them a little bit more? Because you'll see a lot oftentimes that some of these classes will be like 3 days and they kick you out the door and wish you the best. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, you know what, there's got to be a better way.
Yes.
So I've kind of switched it up a little bit where I have online classes that I include with my in-person classes. So that way my students have the time to really practice before they come in and study.
That's
and
so important.
And so it's like at that point they've like seen me do multiple services online. They've read through my full handbook of knowledge. I make them do practice on paper before they come in. And so when they come in, it's like a little less nerve-wracking. So that way it's not like you're just hearing this for the first time. And then it's like you're taking in all this information and then you're expected to like practice and do all these hands-on things. It's just a lot. So I was like, you know, I think I could do something that would be a little bit more where they're really able to like grasp what I'm saying and retain the information. And then by the time they come into the class, they're really ready to take on the hands-on portion and it's not so like overwhelming, right?
Oh, I love that.
That's much needed, I feel.
Yeah. So I just like really feel passionate about teaching. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping my studio to be, like a destination for learning. So with my beginners classes, I also have advanced training. And then I've also added an apprenticeship program.
Oh yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yes. And you don't see that as often as well. So it's more like continued education. So whether you're coming from straight from one of my trainings, or you may say you trained with somebody else and you just really don't feel like you're ready, it's a good opportunity for people to come in and still learn more and have someone still kind of like hold their hand through it.
Yeah.
And kind of it's mainly learning how to build good habits. So I feel like that's like
100%.
I feel like that's one of the things I see a lot. Like you'll finish a class and then you'll be like, okay, I don't need to practice or do anything ever again. And that's just not the reality. So like almost like making them give you homework and making them do these things just help you build those habits that
Because you don't
do.
want your first client to be your test dummy.
Exactly.
Like, oh. Okay,
exactly.
wish me luck.
Yeah. So with the apprenticeship program, it just gives them a little more education. And then we are adding some more trainings to our studio. Adia is going to be doing some eyeliner training, lip blush training. So we'll be doing, have a destination for all the things.
Oh my goodness. That's so exciting.
That's so neat. People usually, when they get into permanent makeup, do they start with brows and kind of, what's the pattern that you see?
I would say more often they would start with brows or lips. I feel like those two are like the main ones that I see people kind of enter the industry. I feel like maybe brows feel less intimidating to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, primarily I'd say brows.
That makes sense. Yeah, kind of like that's your base level, and then you can go from there.
And it's interesting. Like sometimes they have students reach out to me and they're like, "Well, why wouldn't I just train for microblading and then do nano brows?"
Correct.
So what I would say to that, microblading may be easier maybe to grasp, but I feel like there's less wiggle room with microblading because you are creating a cut in the skins, right? And so when you're really learning that depth and all the things to it, it's really easy to go too deep or do too much with microblading. As opposed with nano, it takes longer to do because again, when you make a cut with microblading, that cuts in the skin, right? When you're doing nano, you have a little more wiggle room, so it may be harder to really perfect, and it may take you triple the amount of time to do when you're first starting. I do think it's the better industry or the better service to start with because one, that's where the industry is kind of going, and two, I think it's safer for beginner artists to not be doing too much to someone's skin. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's great. Yeah. That's always what scared me about microblading. It's
totally.
Oh, that's permanent. That's pretty you're drawing that harsh line. Yeah. There's no going back.
And also, you got to get it out of your mind. Our grandparents, they have green eyebrows now.
Yeah,
right?
Purple eyebrows. Totally.
Blue, gray.
Yeah, using those old tattoo inks in their tattoo machines.
So some people still get that stuck in their head, I do not want to look like that.
Absolutely.
They get a little nervous. Do you have that?
I would say clients all the time their first thing they say when they come in is, I want it to look really natural. And I'm like, yes, girl, I got you.
Yes.
I promise you're not going to be leaving with solid green brows and they're not going to be changing to a purple brow. That's not what we're doing here. I think, again, kind of what I was saying, previously where I'm okay, my grandma had old school tattooing. That's kind of what I thought of when I thought of permanent makeup. And I still feel like there's maybe a stigma that that's what permanent makeup is. So I think, again, permanent makeup's come such a long way where it's less makeup and more your natural brows, right?
Yes.
I think the biggest thing I would say to people too is it's really not to replace makeup, okay? I think some people are
enhance.
Yeah, exactly. It's to enhance your natural features, right? It's not meant to replace your eyebrow pencil. It's really meant so you can wake up, have gorgeous eyebrows or a nice tint on your lips, but it's not going to look like you're wearing makeup. You know what I'm saying? It's really meant to enhance your natural features, where if you're maybe I do want a full glam moment, you could still wear an eyebrow pencil. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you don't want to be full glam all the time.
Totally. And and hey,
wake up.
If you do,
if they do.
If you do, you could always do a powder brow. There are options for people who do maybe want that. But I'd say more often than not, my clients want super natural.
Oh my gosh. Well, do you have a memorable moment either teaching or a client?
Yeah, I meet so many clients and I definitely probably have more than one. But one that really I can think of is I had a client coming in who was just diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was coming in because she was going to go through chemo and already was suspecting that she was going to lose her eyebrows. And I remember being like, you know what? I'm just going to go and get her flowers before she comes in. So I went and I got her flowers. And I remember I did her service. And afterwards I was like, oh yeah, I got you something. Just, I was thinking about you. And I just remember we just had this moment. And ever since then, we still keep in contact. She messages me about her treatments, how everything's been going.
Oh my goodness.
I talk to all her family members all the time. They just shoot me messages on Instagram.
That's so beautiful.
And so you just never know how you're going to impact someone's life. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. And she even told me, she was like, my eyebrows still look amazing. She's had to go through treatment twice now and her eyebrows still look great. And she was like, it just really can transform someone's confidence.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, can you imagine if you're going through something like that and then it makes your day to not feel or not look how you feel.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Shannique
Totally.
says it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, you just want to have some normalcy in your life, right?
Yeah.
You're going through such a
man.
hard time and you just want to feel like yourself. And I know her biggest thing was she didn't want to scare her kids too. She had very little kids. And she was like, I just want them to see me looking as normal as possible. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I got you. Let's do this. And like I said, like, I feel like I really formed a beautiful connection with her. And I get so many clients who come in who are, you know, post chemo, before chemo. And I feel like those clients are really special to me.
Oh, you're such a doll. Oh my God. I just love you.
Oh, I love you.
Love moment. Well, are there any like myths about, you know, microblading or anything in the tattoo world?
I feel like the biggest myth I always hear again is just that it's not going to look natural. And
Yeah.
I think that really depends on like who you go to, really. So my biggest thing just to say to people is do your research. See lots of photos, see lots of healed photos.
Yes.
That's the biggest one. I'm like,
That's different.
If you're researching an artist and they don't have healed photos, that is a red flag. So make sure you're seeing
Yep,
all their
that's right.
healed work. Because that
No
will,
watermarks.
Yeah, no water. Exactly. You want to make sure it's their work. Lots of reviews.
Yes.
That would be
That's
like the biggest
right.
thing I would say. Yeah.
So when people post, when you're saying that they don't post the after like the healed, they're posting like right after.
Yes, like fresh work.
Okay.
So, like for me myself, I have like a highlight section of a bunch of healed work. So just so you can like flip through it and kind of see. You want to see how it looks years down the line, or you know what I mean. You want to make sure that it just doesn't look great immediately after, and that it's actually retaining well, that it's looking how you want it to look down the line.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I love about you and your studio, because you don't just take the, you know, after,
Yeah.
you know, you do the before, the after, in the healing process,
Yeah,
and then
totally.
the final, you know, product, which is so helpful.
Totally.
And
I'm
I
all
think
about
that's
over-informing.
perfect.
Communication is key for me. I'm like, I'm going to tell you every little thing. So that way you're really prepared and you know what to expect.
Yeah. So looking ahead at your career, Missy, I mean, where do you see yourself? Where do you see your studio going?
So for me, I think my like 5-year goal, I always try to like break it up in my 5-year goals. So we just recently, my 5-year goal previously was to open up a bigger studio. And then we did that. So we are in our bigger studio that had a back room for my training. We have more room in general. Thank you. So now my next goal is really to transition into more training. So I think that's kind of where I see my future, where, you know, I'm still going to always take clients. I love my job and I will always take clients. But I think instead of doing as much grinding behind, you know, I'm going to do a little more educating. So that's kind of where I see myself. I would love to be traveling, training. You know, I have my home-based training where, you know, and my trainings are a 5-week program. So it is a long class. So that's kind of where I see myself, as doing a lot more training.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, your studio is in San Diego.
Yes.
And then Tori also comes to Glam Spa in Agora Hills.
I do.
And, you know, we have her and Adia once a month. So, you
Want
know,
to get in with me?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of feel like you'll be training, you know, even for our LA client.
Totally. Well, me and Adia were talking about that. We're like, you'd be so great to come up and train as well.
Let's do it.
We'll definitely talk about that.
So where can everyone find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. If you want to see my portfolio, I post on there regularly on Tori Selena Beauty.
Yes.
And if you want to see our studio, you can look up Ethereal Studio SD on Instagram and see all of our girls. We do have girls who do like body art too.
Oh my
If you want a tattoo, you want freckles, eyeliner.
Wait, did I
blush.
see piercing?
No, we don't have anybody doing piercings, at least not right now.
Okay, I thought I saw something.
Tattoo or piercing.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that, like earrings, like, but they're tattoos.
I do have my ear tattooed.
You do?
I do.
Can we see?
Yeah.
Can we take a little peek?
Let's see if you can see her. You see her?
Oh my
Yes.
What is it?
She was done by Adia at my studio.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. So Adia does all the tattooing?
Yes, she does body art at our studio.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yes. Anything you want, you just let her know.
Yeah, I love
Cool.
it.
All right, so let's welcome Adia.
Hello.
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 Welcome.
So you are at the studio with Tori. How long have you been at her studio?
I am. I started there in February of this year.
And where were you before that?
I was in my own private studio for about a year and a half, and then I tried a couple other studios before that.
So what do you all do? You do lip blushing?
I do lip
Tattooing.
blushing, lash line tattoo, freckles, and body art.
So beautiful. Yesterday she did our girl Amy. She got her lips done and they look just gorgeous.
I'm
Thank you
so
so much.
excited because
I
I'm
mean-
on her books for
yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
So she'll be doing me while we're in San Diego, but I'm very excited about that. But before we get to that, like I don't know anything really about lip blushing.
Okay.
What is the protocols? Like, what would you tell your client if I'm coming up to you and asking, what would you do with my lips? Because I'm afraid I don't want them to be too red, overdone, or how do you do
Absolutely.
color theory, I guess is the question.
So color theory is really important. It's knowing skin tone, undertones, like the base color, and what will look good on your face with your natural tones. And a lot of people, because the after picture of the lips is so intense, because when you first get it done, it is bright and bold, but that only lasts for a couple of days. And once that top layer sloughs off, you get that natural tone underneath. And usually the goal is to be natural. And again, that's a lot of people don't understand, because a lot of times when we do stuff on Instagram, it's that right after and it's bold and bright. But then it heals quite naturally. So it is important to represent both. Like the right after is fun to look at, but to see those healed photos is really important.
That's so beautiful.
So I would look, at your skin tone, your undertone. A lot of times if you look at your face, you do have a good rich tone right here on the inner part of your lip.
oh, interesting.
So it's really good to try to sometimes match that to the outside. And then you do have some clients who want it to be more dramatic. So they want it more coral or more mauve or more red. And you can build to that.
Yeah. I mean, one of my clients brought in her favorite lipstick for Tori and she matched it like,
Oh,
whoa.
yeah.
Like that was so shocking.
And that's part of knowing color theory. It's
Yeah,
just how to
that's
build
right.
that color, recreate it. It's knowing when we put color on your lips, when your natural tones mix with whatever pigment we put on there,
That's so beautiful.
what the final result's going to be.
Well, Adia, what made you decide to get into this industry? Where did you start? Like, how did this become?
So this is like a second career for me. I'm a little older than Tori. I was a hairstylist and makeup artist for many, many years, and also a portrait artist.
Yeah.
So I've always been obsessed with beauty and helping women and humans just feel amazing about themselves, like that hair transformation or the makeup. And then I started body art tattooing about 10 years ago, and kind of struggled in the industry. Honestly, it was very male dominant, and I had some interesting apprenticeship experiences. So I kind of studied that a lot on my own and did a lot of private stuff. And then I wanted to learn eyebrows. It was 2018. And I learned eyebrows and liked it. But then when I learned lips, like my soul was on fire. I love lips.
Oh my gosh. So where did you learn how to do lips?
It was in LA.
It was in
at
LA?
an academy, in 2018. And then and I learned everything at the same time. I learned eyeliner, lips, freckles. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you and Tori meet?
We met because I actually got a skin service, the fibroblast that she trained with from you last year. I did want to meet her though. I knew her in the industry. She's pretty well known.
Yes.
And I hadn't found my group, like my crew,
your people.
my soul people.
Yes.
And I reached out, and in our first appointment, I'm like, "Are you my sister?"
Oh, that's
You guys do look alike.
Yeah.
We just had that vibe, and we talked
Yes.
about business and life, and we have a lot of the same vision for our business and why we do things. It's just to help people like love who they are. And that's what I do love about permanent makeup is you're really coloring in or highlighting what is already you.
Yes.
Right?
So rewarding.
that's really why
Yeah.
I got into it. I want people to wake up and look in the mirror before they put all the makeup on and go, I love my face.
Oh my gosh, it's so
I love that. And that's how makeup should be in general. Like I've always learned, it's just to enhance what you have.
Yeah.
So permanent makeup is just the enhancement.
It is. We're not trying to cover or change. We're really enhancing what's already there. And I love doing that with clients. I'm like, this is your face.
Yeah.
Like you're loving what you're seeing after what I've done, but that's just your face colored in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Put your face colored
that.
in. Let me get my crayons.
Yeah.
Well,
So you do eyeliner, permanent eyeliner. And
do.
that to me is freaky.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds freaky. It was really scary to learn. It's actually one of the less invasive procedures that I do. It heals quickly. It's the least amount of pain that I usually hear. There's not that many nerve endings right where we're tattooing, so it's more scratchy.
Oh,
And we use
interesting.
great numbing cream. It's really about being able to relax and let me have your eyeball.
I never thought that my situation with Tori doing my eyebrows would be relaxing.
And it really can be,
And it
right?
can
Yeah.
be.
Sometimes you have to get there. You have to breathe and, you know.
Is it the same tool as the nano microblading?
It is.
Or-
It's the same machine that you would do like nanobrows with or lips with.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
super gentle.
Now, Adia, do you have any clients that are not good candidates? Do you find yourself turning down clients?
Absolutely. It's our job and our responsibility to put client safety over like money or prestige or anything. So if a client comes with previous work, a lot of times you really have to examine whether they need it removed with a laser before you can work on it, or if you really can improve it, not just to take the client because you need money or something.
That's right. Because there are a lot of clients who do want to book, especially with we have one that's like, okay, so she has like years thick eyebrows of, the microblading. And I'm like, you can't, you have to remove it.
Exactly.
So tell me about the process of what makes you decide to like say, hey, go to this person, get your eyebrows removed before we proceed.
Right. And I think that's where like the ethics of our job come in, because you have to know really if someone's dark and saturated and they want to come in and they say, I want light and airy eyebrows, you can't get like the skin tone in the middle of the strokes if it's totally saturated with ink. So it's our job to say, you need to go to this place. We usually refer to, there's a great place in San Diego we refer to.
Yes.
And the process is a laser and it's pretty quick and pretty painless. They do numb as well. And they've had great results. And sometimes you just need to lighten or sometimes totally remove what's there already. And it's our responsibility to know if we can give the client the results they're asking for or not, and to be able to like guide them in a way so they have the best results, or to say because of your skin condition or medical condition or anything like that, it's really important for us to know when it's appropriate to proceed or not.
What are some of the disclaimers? Like what do you look for that you cannot do it on?
Like certain skin conditions, psoriasis, people on blood thinners, people on certain medications like autoimmune diseases, things like that.
Yeah.
Everyone is individual. And on our PMU, like what do you call them again?
Yeah, PMU.
The release forms.
Yes.
The release forms, all of it asks very specific questions. And it's really important to be honest because sometimes clients aren't honest.
Yeah.
But it's so important to be because that does affect the healing process.
Yeah. Or
It
the
does.
results of the work.
Yeah. Medications you're on. Yeah.
Gosh, yes. Well, what I would like to know, Adia, where do you see yourself going? Like what are your extra ambitions? Because I feel like you did so much already.
Yeah, I mean, just to continue my career, but to become a trainer at Ethereal in San Diego alongside Tori. She does the brow training. I'm going to start offering lip training next year and lash line tattoo training. And I do also freckle training.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I just want to offer trainings, build new artists, continue my work. I'm obsessed. I love doing body art as well. I love making people's visions come true. And just helping them love their temple.
Now, yesterday you were working, she did this like immaculate, drawing of a tattoo. Now,
Thank you.
do people come in for like larger tattoos from you?
Oh yeah, they do. I do
gosh,
everything: whole body suits, back pieces, arm
my
pieces,
goodness.
anything you can envision, I will build. I do like the tiniest little fine line tattoos, and then, like I said, whole body pieces.
Oh, that's so cool.
Have you had any like really weird requests?
Oh yeah. Yes. I mean, there are requests sometimes where
Tori's
like,
like,
I don't know if I can do that. And again, I feel like even though it's funny, there's a responsibility. There was a young man who was 22 years old, and he was really cool and was building his career as a DJ, and did have other tattoos, but he wanted me to tattoo a dagger through his eyebrow and under his eye, which is super cool. I'm a mom. And
You may regret this later on.
I really spoke to him, and I just didn't feel right about it. And he ended up going to another artist, but I couldn't do that to his 22-year-old face.
Right. I mean, that's our job, is to be ethical and
just
to
just a little more life. I mean, but I get really fun tattoo ideas. I do a lot of memorial tattoos. I tend to kind of specialize in that. So I absolutely love my job. Yeah.
Well, I love the tattoos that you gave Amy. And was it her cousin?
It was her siblings
sister?
and her best friends, I think. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they all got the same little like numbers, right? Or
They did. They got 224, and I forgot what they said.
It was like
It's something like forever.
Forever.
It's two something forever, yeah. But they had the best time. We had a little
there was three
tattoo
of them.
party. Yeah.
that's so fun.
It was 4 of them. It was awesome.
Oh, I love that. Well, babe,
Yes.
where can people find you?
I am Adia Tattoo on Instagram. Audiatattoo.com is my website. And then I'm also at Ethereal SD.
Yes. And then you're at Glam Spa once a month as
am.
well.
Yeah.
So for our LA clients, you could, book online. We'll schedule you ahead of time. And I wouldn't have, these women from San Diego drive all the way to Glam Spa to do services, but I only have the best. And you guys, we both are businesses. We don't mess around, and we want the best for our clients. We want the best for our students. We want the best for our just to get the community together and, do our thing.
I love working with amazing women.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
Yeah.
The
I
community.
feel so privileged to be at your spa as well. Yeah.
I feel privileged. Where's the tissue? Where's the tissue?
Okay, well, you can find us at Not Just Lashes on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts.